July 8th, for instance, there was about 30 KKK members who came. 30, or if that, maybe a few more, but very small number. And there was definitely over 1,000 of us in the street. Probably 200 to 300 cops, state police, Charlottesville, from all over, right? So when it's small numbers of white supremacists, the cops protected them very securely. They escorted them in through like a gauntlet, right?
Let them park in their garage.
Let them park in their garage. They surrounded them in the park. The cops did, right? They escorted them out, and then proceeded to get violent and repress us. That was July 8th. August 12th, very different picture. Way more white supremacists who came looking to physically fight, whereas the KKK did not, small numbers. And the cops there, and the National Guard ended up being called on August 12th, right? But the National Guard and the cops on August 12th stood back. Oftentimes, you couldn't even tell where they were. Were they there? So it was very interesting, to say the least, to see, and to me, it made sense. When white supremacists are out in small numbers, then we will protect their free speech. If they're out in big numbers and they're looking for physical violence, well, maybe we'll step back and allow it to happen. And now I have no idea what individual cops think, and I know the orders come from up top to make those decisions. But that was something that I found very interesting, to say the least. I'd like to say fighting white supremacy, to build on everyone before me who has spoken, is also not just about fighting Nazis in the streets and open, blatant white supremacists. It's not just individuals that we need, that we need to be fighting. So, in my opinion, fighting white supremacy is standing up against racist police violence that Keontae Spencer faced. It's standing up against the whole justice system and the jails. Roanoke City Jail. 6 people have died in 2 years, and basically nothing is happening from that. Fighting white supremacy is also is trying to organize with your coworkers and fight against racial discrimination in the workplace. And fighting for livable wages for the least paid of us. I don't know if people know, in Roanoke, the poverty rate, there's 38% of black people are in poverty in Roanoke, 16% of white people. More than double the poverty rate. So, and poverty is not just created by mismanaging money. It's what you're paid is what you can live on, right? So these are like direct, particular things. There's lots of work to do. We can all fit in where we would like to fit in. I would encourage each of us, including myself especially, to do more and to be more okay with being uncomfortable with addressing things. Oftentimes things, may not get addressed because we're not sure, or we feel uncomfortable, or we feel alone. But I would say, and largely I wanted to talk about organizing our coworkers. So there was, just to wrap up, there was a specific instance of people who organized themselves as workers at the Target store in Christiansburg recently. And it's a good example. Check them out. They're on Facebook as NRV Strike. And they laid it out, what they did and why they were going on strike. And it was from the ground up. It was 2 or 3 workers. You don't have to have a union. Most of us don't. 95% of jobs in Roanoke aren't unionized. I'm not in one. But they decided to go on strike, talk to each other, because the general manager at the Christiansburg Target store had about 12 or 13 instances that workers documented on NRV Strike's website of either racial discrimination or harassment, sexual harassment, and so forth. And this was for years, not just like in the past couple months. So this general manager was repeatedly harassing people. A few workers from the bottom said, we're not going to stand for this anymore, let's organize ourselves. They went on strike, and they got him fired, y'all. And yeah, let's put that out. that was like really inspirational. Just, that's what we each need to be doing. Where we live, where we work, you know, when we see something, say something and organize against it, and organize for the least of us when we see it, and that is also fighting white supremacy. I would say the systems are what, you know, especially we need to be fighting. Also Nazis in the street too. So thank you all for coming very much, and I appreciate being allowed to speak.